The majestic constellation of Sagittarius hides not only an ancient centaur myth, but the true heart of our galaxy. Right here, behind a thick veil of cosmic dust, lurks a colossal supermassive black hole. And from here, humanity once caught the famous wow signal, a possible message from alien intelligence. Ancient legends say that this starry archer is eternally aiming at the heart of the poisonous scorpion.
You know, when you look up at the constellation Sagittarius, you're not just seeing some random pattern of stars. You are, quite literally, looking directly into the heart of our own galaxy. So today, let's explore what's really going on in that direction, from a mind-bending supermassive black hole all the way to the ancient myths it inspired.
Here's our plan. First, we'll unpack why Sagittarius is our one-of-a-kind window to the galactic core. Then, we'll get a little technical and map out its coordinates before diving headfirst into the incredible astrophysics at its center, and yes, that includes the supermassive black hole Sagittarius A star. From there, we'll connect all that hard science to the myth of Chiron, and to wrap things up, I'll show you exactly how to find it all in the night sky.
So, the fundamental importance of Sagittarius really boils down to its unique position. Think of it as our front row seat, our direct line of sight into the galactic center. When you gaze towards Sagittarius, you are looking into the densest, most brilliant, most chaotic part of the entire Milky Way.
Imagine a photograph of this region for a moment. What you'd see is this brilliant, glowing river of light, so packed with stars it almost looks solid. But you'd also see these dark, shadowy cracks cutting right through it. Now, that's not empty space, not at all. That's a massive veil of cosmic dust, and it's hiding the very heart of our galaxy right behind it.
Okay, so before we take a journey behind that veil of dust, we need to get our bearings. An astrometric profile is basically our map and compass. It gives us the coordinates and the sense of scale we need to properly locate Sagittarius in the vastness of the sky.
And in terms of scale, Sagittarius is a giant. It covers 867 square degrees of the sky, which makes it the 15th largest constellation out there. What's really critical, though, is that the ecliptic, that's the path the sun appears to take across our sky all year, passes right through it. For anyone in the northern hemisphere, this means the sun sits in Sagittarius right around the winter solstice.
So where can you actually see it? Well, the rule of thumb is the further south you go, the better your view gets. If you're anywhere south of, say, Paris or Seattle, you can see the entire constellation. A bit further north, and you might just catch the top of it, the teapot, peeking over the horizon. But for just about everyone, the absolute best time to look is during the summer months, June, July, and August.
All right, we know where to look. Now let's talk about what we're really looking at. We are now moving beyond the map and into the physics, into what makes this region of space so absolutely incredible, starting with the most extreme object at its very center. This is the central question, right? Those thick clouds of dust I mentioned, they act like an impenetrable fog, completely blocking out all visible light. So to see through it, astronomers have to use a different kind of light altogether. They use radio waves. The longer wavelengths of radio can pass right through that dust, kind of like how the radio signal for your car can pass right through the walls of a garage.
And when they pointed their radio telescopes there, this is what they found. At the precise gravitational center of the Milky Way, there is an incredibly powerful, unbelievably compact radio source. They named it Sagittarius A star. And after decades of tracking stars whipping around this invisible point at insane speeds, the evidence led to one inescapable conclusion. Sagittarius A star is a supermassive black hole.
Just how massive are we talking? 4.1 times million times the mass of our sun. Let that sink in. Try to picture taking over 4 million suns and crushing all of that material, all of that matter, down into a space that is infinitely small, a single point we call a singularity. This is the gravitational anchor for our entire galaxy. And this is a truly historic image. In 2022, the Event Horizon Telescope, which is really a network of radio telescopes spanning the entire planet, managed to capture this, the first ever direct image of Sagittarius A star. Now, we're not seeing the black hole itself, of course, that's impossible. What we're actually seeing is its shadow, a silhouette against the glowing, superheated gas that's swirling around the event horizon. It's just a stunning, beautiful confirmation of Einstein's theories playing out in one of the most extreme environments in the universe. But there's so much more to Sagittarius than just its central black hole. It's also a place of intense creation. Let's start a little tour with Messier 8, better known as the Lagoon Nebula. This is a vast stellar nursery, a gigantic cloud of hydrogen gas that's being lit up from the inside, totally energized by the fierce radiation from hot young stars that are being born right within it. If you're in a really dark spot, you can even see it as a faint smudge with your own eyes.
Next up is M20, the Trifid Nebula. This object is amazing. It's like a perfect astrophysical laboratory because it shows off 3 different kinds of nebula all in one shot. That pinkish-red glow? That's an emission nebula, just like the lagoon. The blue area is a reflection nebula, where starlight is just scattering off fine dust. And those dark lanes that seem to carve it into 3 parts, that's where it gets the name Trifid, those are dense dust clouds blocking the light from behind them.
And we continue on to Messier 17, also called the Omega or the Swan Nebula. This isn't just any star-forming region, it's one of the most luminous and most massive in our entire galaxy. Its brilliant glow is powered by a whole cluster of at least 35 young, massive stars buried deep inside its gases. Their intense ultraviolet radiation is what lights up the whole magnificent structure.
This part of the sky is also home to one of science's greatest unsolved mysteries. Back on August 15, 1977, a radio telescope picked up this incredibly strong 72-second-long signal coming from the direction of Sagittarius. It was so strange, so unlike anything natural, and so perfectly matched to the profile of what we think an artificial extraterrestrial signal might look like, that the astronomer who discovered it just circled the data on the printout and wrote, "Wow," next to it. To this day, that signal has never, ever been detected again. Its origin is still a complete mystery.
So now let's pivot. Let's turn from the hard science to the stories that we humans have told for millennia while looking at these very same stars. It's time to connect the astrophysics of Sagittarius to the powerful myth that it represents.
The figure associated with Sagittarius is Chiron. Now, it's really important to understand that Chiron was not your typical centaur. Most centaurs were portrayed as wild, savage beasts, but Chiron was different. He was the son of the Titan Cronus, which gave him a divine lineage and immortality. He was known as a great teacher, a healer, a true paragon of wisdom and civility.
His story, though, is a tragedy. Let's walk through it. First, he was a legendary mentor, teaching great heroes like Achilles and Jason. But then disaster strikes. He was accidentally wounded by an arrow from his friend Heracles, an arrow tipped with the incurable poison of the Hydra. Now, because Chiron was immortal, he couldn't die. He was simply condemned to live forever in agonizing pain. So, in a final noble act, he offered to give up his immortality to free the Titan Prometheus from his punishment. Zeus, moved by this incredible sacrifice, placed him among the stars as the constellation Sagittarius. Okay, after all that mind-bending science and epic mythology, let's bring this all back down to Earth, back to you. Here's your practical guide to actually finding and appreciating this incredible constellation for yourself. You know, the easiest way to find Sagittarius isn't to look for a centaur with a bow and arrow. That's pretty tough. No, you want to look for a much simpler shape inside it that we call an asterism. In this case, it's the teapot. It's unmistakable. As you can see here, the brightest stars form a perfect teapot shape. You've got the spout, the lid, the handle, and the body. If you can find the teapot, you've found Sagittarius.
And this is where it all comes together. On a clear, dark night, if you find that teapot, you can actually see a faint, milky cloud that looks just like steam rising from its spout. But that steam, that isn't a cloud in our atmosphere. That is the combined glow of billions upon billions of stars at the very center of the Milky Way. That is the galactic core we started this whole journey with.
So here's your mission. First, find the bright, hook-shaped constellation Scorpius. The teapot will be just off to its left or east. Then, if you have a pair of binoculars, point them at that steam rising from the spout and just scan around slowly. That faint cloud will resolve into an unbelievable, dense field of individual stars. And as you're looking, just remember that hidden behind all of that visible light is Sagittarius A star, the invisible, supermassive heart of our galaxy.
And that brings us to a final thought. Sagittarius really presents us with this profound duality. On one hand, it points to a cosmic abyss, to a singularity so powerful it warps space-time itself. And on the other, it's the canvas for the story of Chiron, a timeless myth of wisdom, suffering, and noble sacrifice. So is it just a subject for objective science, or is it also a kind of mirror, reflecting our own deepest stories of struggle and redemption? That's a question I'll leave for you to think about next time you're under the stars.
Thank you, friends. Strive for understanding and become wiser. See you soon.